Hello everybody and welcome back to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Tom and in today's video we are going to be talking all things Club World Cup Match Day 6. We're going to look at the top picks from each club, each of the four clubs in the semi-finals, the best captains for both of the match days, and try and pick out some scouting bonus differentials for your teams. Although admittedly there are less and less scouting bonus players as the player pool condenses. With just 4 teams left. And then after that, we're going to look at my transfer plans for the match day, with everybody having 5 free transfers. And you're now allowed to pick more players per club as well. But before we get into that, we're going to quickly look at my match day 5 team. As you can see on the screen, for those listening on the podcast, it was Sanchez, Hakimi, Trent, Nuno Mendes, Captain Cole Palmer, Kvaratskhelia, Fernandes, Elise, Doué, Marcus Leonardo, Guirassy, and then Cucurella, João Cancelo and Liam Delap were subbed off throughout the match day. 74 points, it was a good green arrow for me, up to 83rd in the world from 170, I think I was last week, or 140, I can't quite remember. Yeah, as explained on the previous video, I did do the 4 free transfers that I said I was going to do, and that was Trent, Cucurella, Palmer, and Leonardo. In for 3 Man City players and the suspended Palmeiras defender called Piquerez, who I've just remembered as I was speaking. I did decide to do a hit just before the deadline, and that was Anton out for João Cancelo, which didn't pay off, which cost me a couple of points in the end there. Not the end of the world, but yeah, that was a little impulsive. Not captain shout. Actually, it was a captain shout because I did captain Cancelo in the end for his attacking threat. Although Al Hilal didn't win, so he's now out of the tournament. Captain Cole Palmer worked out nicely in the end. I decided to stick on 8 points, which I think is the right decision, because I wouldn't have captained Hakimi in the PSG game. I would have captained an attacker. And then, I mean, Trent was super lucky with, I had Guirassy, who scored after Trent went off with a clean sheet and an assist. So that, you know, that was very fortunate there. But yeah, 74 points, pretty good match day. And thankfully, there was no shocks. PSG or Chelsea didn't lose, which, especially if Chelsea lost, because I forgot 5 of their players, that would have been a bit of an issue going forward. But all good there. So we're now going to look at each of the 4 teams in detail, pick out their top picks, starting with the first game. The first club that we're going to go into is Fluminense, who are up against Chelsea in the first quarter-final. Most people won't have too many Fluminense assets. Samuel Xavier, the defender, he had scouting bonus in the last round, and he did get an assist against Al Hilal. He was fairly popular as we went towards the deadline, as shown on screen by his 8.7% ownership now. So there's no scouting bonus for him, unfortunately, anymore. The goalkeeper, Fabio, is well over 10% now if you fancy Chelsea not to score. Thiago Silva is the interesting one. He's fairly cheap. He's got goal threat, as we know, and he's obviously coming up against his old club, Chelsea. So if you're buying into that old club narrative there, I guess there's a chance he could score. He obviously knows the Chelsea players extremely well, but I guess we know his players very well. The flip side of that. So there isn't scouting bonus. One thing to note, the defender Freites, who was very popular, he is suspended for this game, so they'll be without one of their key defenders as they play Chelsea. Hercules, the midfielder, is currently on for scouting bonus. Whether that will hold before tomorrow night or not, I don't know. But he is 3.2% owned. He's scored in back-to-back matches now, the only Fluminense player to score into more than one match at the tournament. So he is an option, a differential pick there. And then John Arias, the talisman on set pieces, they're the most attacking returns for them this tournament, a couple of assists and a goal. He's a threat, less than 10% owned, so he's not eligible for scouting bonus, but he is the one if you would like a Fluminense attacker or if you're looking to captain a Fluminense player. But yeah, important to note that Freites is suspended, so lots of people own him. Moving on to Chelsea, they are, of course, the big favourites in this match. As you can see on screen, there's a hell of a lot of options you can pick from their side. In goal, Sanchez, no clean sheets in the knockout stages yet, but just the 1 goal conceded. And again, a decent chance for clean sheet against Fluminense. He's probably the best goalkeeper in this round, the most likely goalkeeper to keep a clean sheet. In front of him in the defence, Cucurella is the really highly owned defender at over 20%, which I'm sure that will just keep going up. He played a bit more of a withdrawn role in the last game tactically, and I would expect that to continue. With Colwill's suspension, he will be needed as the left centre-back in the build-up. Don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean he's going to be starting as a centre-back on the team sheet, but it does probably mean that Reece James would be inverted or pushed up. Reece James is fit. We've had that confirmed by himself on Instagram. He just pulled out in the warm-up because he just felt a little bit of tightness, but he's trained and he's fine. So I wouldn't expect Cucurella to be marauding forward like we saw against Benfica in this game either, which would put me off captaining him. Definitely wouldn't sell him or not buy him because you never know what's going to happen in the final. If we get there, he may well attack again, but I wouldn't expect him to be marauding forward. So James is a great pick. He is fit, and obviously the thing with Chelsea, we will see the team sheet, so you'll be able to buy or not buy James knowing that he starts. So no worries there. The one, unfortunately, Levi Colwill is suspended after picking up his second yellow card of the tournament, which means Chelsea need a change at centre back. The latest we've heard is that Badiashile is still injured. He is the obvious replacement as a left footer, which would mean, unless Maresca pulls an absolute shock and plays Sarr or Anslamino, the junior centre-backs, we will be looking at Tosin and Chalobah to start. Tosin is a goal threat, probably more than Chalobah, I would say. 7.6% owned though, so no scouting bonus. He is cheaper though than Trevor Chalobah. But Chalobah is the one I'm really, really interested in. 0.8% owned, so there could potentially be some scouting bonus for Trevor Chalobah there. He is more expensive than Tosin, but with that scouting bonus, you got to try and find the money for him, I think. If you're looking for a defender this week, he would be my number one defensive pick this week. Obviously, we'll have to check he starts, which I'm sure he will. So wait until the team sheet drops tomorrow at about 6:45 UK time, which gives you around about 15 minutes before the deadline. But yeah, he would be my number one defensive pick this week. Moving into the midfield, Palmer, Neto, Fernandes, all great shouts. Neto, obviously, he did start in the end, despite the tragedy of losing one of his close friends, Diogo Jota. He didn't get an attack in return, but he looked very, very good again. He's really gone up a level towards the end of the season and into this tournament. So it's good news for Chelsea that he's on form, especially with Madueke seemingly on the way out. Would not expect him to start with all the transfer rumours swirling. Palmer scored a great goal, kind of returned to form, which did enough for me to safely captain him this week. I think he's definitely the best Chelsea captain shout, and Enzo Fernandez should be pushed up a little bit higher in this game now Caicedo is back. I would assume Caicedo will come straight back in and allowing Enzo to be pushed up the pitch a little bit more. And then three forwards. So Liam Delap is suspended, so he's a sell if you've got the transfer. Either João Pedro or Jackson will start. I would suspect Jackson simply because is João Pedro ready to play 90 minutes? I'm not convinced he will be, although he did look very, very good when he came on. Super threatening, great link-up play, nearly scored. It was a great save from Weatherton and nearly put in Madueke's cross as well. The good thing about Jackson and João Pedro is we see the team sheet. Right now, they both have scouting bonus. Will they when the deadline comes? Possibly not, but it's one to monitor, and I would definitely look at buying whoever starts out of Nicholas Jackson or João Pedro. Moving on to the second match, which is PSG against Real Madrid. So PSG, so many options for them. They put Bayern Munich to the sword despite having 2 red cards in that game, which is fantasy relevant. So Pacho is suspended, the defender. And having done a little bit of research, Kimpembe is obviously there, but he's just coming off the back of a very, very serious injury. So the newspapers seem to think that Beraldo will start at the back. He is currently just 0.4% owned in the game, which does make him an exciting scouting bonus option if he starts. We won't see the team sheet before the deadline. Is it worth a risk? Possibly. At this stage, we don't know if Pacho will miss the final or not. However, because they upgraded Nicholas Jackson's red card to a 2-game ban, I don't really see why they wouldn't do the same unless, there's a little bit of foul play in terms of then wanting the best players available for the final to maximise the commercial value of that event, which obviously wouldn't shock you with FIFA, but from a sporting point of view, it seems fair that he misses 2 games, in which case Beraldo is a great shout. So he's definitely one to watch if you need a PSG defender. Donnarumma, the goalkeeper, another clean sheet against Bayern, looks like a top pick if you don't fancy Sanchez or you want an alternative option. Give you 2 goalkeepers the opportunity to sub one in. Attackers, Doué came good this week, scoring a great goal, and Dembele came off the bench to score, so he still didn't start. Whether he will start or not, I don't know this week. I would assume he will. It's obviously had 2 substitute appearances now for Ousmane Dembele, but he did come on and score, which is great news for him. Kvaratskhelia, again, a good pick. Vitinha is the cheap one if you need a cheaper PSG midfielder on penalties. Hakimi continues to impress, another assist, he's ridiculous, and is he the best captain pick in that second game? There's a fair chance to say he is. I'd probably favour an attacker just because I think Real Madrid will score, but you never know there. And then Neves and Ruiz, the 2 deeper lying midfielders, obviously have enjoyed themselves this tournament and remain good differentials and slightly cheaper than the big guns. The final team we need to talk about is, of course, Real Madrid. They went through after beating Dortmund. Looked comfortable, but it was 3-2 in the end, with Courtois making an incredible save at the end of the game to keep that one at 3-2. Trent assisted Garcia right back to left back, so 2 good defensive picks there should you want one. I'm guessing most people have one, potentially looking at getting a second. Gula got another assist, so he continues to impress, and he actually assisted the other Garcia, the forward, who remains cheap. Mbappe was benched. Will he come back in for Garcia, who just keeps scoring? It's tough to say at this stage. You'd think he would. Obviously, Real Madrid are a much better team, and they're going to need everything they can get against PSG. His old club as well. So yeah, I think Mbappe, this could be the week to buy Mbappe, in my opinion. He's going to be so up for that game against his old club. In midfield, Bellingham and Valverde remain good picks, but Gula, I think, has gone ahead of them now. Vinicius continues to be inconsistent, so it's probably worth looking at Mbappe over Vinicius, I would say. And then obviously Courtois, not on the screen, but if you need a goalkeeper, you fancy Real Madrid, he is a great shout. Let's bring up the bracket again so we can just see the games more clearly. Chelsea-Fluminense is the first game, so we will see the team sheets, and that will be the first game you can pick a captaincy from. I'm going to pick Parma, I think, unless the system has changed significantly. That makes me think Cucurella will be attacking, but I think I will be picking Cole Palmer as my captain there, with Enzo Fernandez a close second. Should that fail, moving on to PSG-Real Madrid, if I bought Mbappe, I'd be very tempted. If not, I will probably go with Kvaratskhelia of PSG. I think he is their most consistent attacker. And yeah, Hakimi, incredibly attacking, but I've got to expect Real Madrid to score, so I'll be backing an attacker. So my 2 captains there, Palmer and Kvaratskhelia, all being well. Finally, let's move on to my Matchday 6 transfer plans. Right then, let's get into my transfer plans for Matchday 6. So we get 5 free transfers for the game week, the Matchday, sorry. As you can see, I've got $2.1 million in the bank as budget. I've got 6 players that ideally I'd transfer out. However, as a matter of priority, I'll be leaving Edison in the team. Hope Sanchez can get the job done. I don't think it's worth a hit to get to Donnarumma, although I guess there's a case I'd want him for the final, so maybe that is something I'd do, but we'll stick with the original plan. So Cancelo is out, Elise is out, Leonardo is out, Grassi is out, and Liam Delap is out due to his suspension. So as discussed, I think Chalobah is the best Chelsea defender to buy this week. At the time of recording, he's 0.8% owned, so he's eligible for scouting bonus, so he'll come in the hope that Chelsea keep a clean sheet and he can get a 9-pointer. In the midfield, I think Neto is a great shout. Pedro Neto is a great shout. Up front, I like Mbappe. I like Mbappe a lot. I think he's probably going to come back in and start, and I think I want him against his old club, and to give me that little bit more Real Madrid cover in the event they do get to the final. Jackson. So we can't have a 7th Chelsea player, in which case Neto will come out, because I will get the Chelsea attacker, whoever starts, whether that's Jackson or Pedro. I'll put Jackson in now because he is more expensive, so obviously we can work around that. If Pedro starts, it's an easy swap. My other forward, I think it's pretty tight. Gonzalo Garcia will probably be that guy. Even if we don't think he's going to start, but he is a good enabler. If Mbappe comes in for him, so be it. I'll see the team and I just won't bring him off the bench. And then the best midfielder, I think, with the budget left is Gula. He's returned in 3 of the last 4 games. Assist, chance created. He's got tackles. He's got a goal. He's got everything, really. He's got everything, potential for everything. So that would be my team as it stands. 15 outfielders. I guess there's a case to not go Garcia, although I can't keep Delap in, and Garassi's too expensive. I could keep Leonardo in, actually. If I was to keep Leonardo in, which I can't do on the video, I'd have to reset the whole thing. Yeah, so I can keep Leonardo in, get Mbappe, get Jackson. If I think Mbappe is going to start, get Nicholas Jackson, get Chalobah, and get Gula. And then I could get Donnarumma instead of getting Garcia. So that's then a case of Garcia or Donnarumma. So that would be that, really. It still leaves me with 14 players. Yeah, so I'd say Chalobah, Mbappe, the Chelsea striker, and Gula are locks to come in. And then my final decision is between Donnarumma or Garcia. So that's a decision to be made there. Some leaked Real Madrid news would be amazing before the deadline tomorrow night, although I think that may be unlikely. But yeah, that would be me. I probably won't take the hit just because I don't think it's worth hitting Garcia or Donnarumma in. And then captaincy-wise, it will be probably Palmer and then Mbappe or Kvaratskhelia. Potentially Enzo, but we'll see. We'll have to see about that. But yeah, that's my transfer plans. That's the best picks. That's the best captains. That's the best differentials. Thank you so much for watching the Matchday 6 team reveal. Do like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out the Fantasy Football Scout website for all of our Matchday 6 content. We'll be back very, very soon for Matchday 7, and we'll have another Matchday 6 video tomorrow before it's all full steam ahead for FPL over the next couple of weeks, with the game hopefully coming soon enough. So thank you very much, guys. Don't forget the deadline is Tuesday, 7 o'clock UK time.